Word button. All right, welcome everybody. I'm doing just a real simple stream here on my Facebooks and YouTubes. Happy Monday. And I thought let's look at some deals. And some of you guys are listening to this right now, either watching this on YouTube or Facebook. And I would like to look at some deals and comp some properties. Maybe just give me an address, give me a parcel ID. I'm going to type in the chat here. Okay. Boom. While people are getting on here, let me just look on the Facebooks here to make sure that I am being streamed. You can see me okay. By the way, did you know if if Back to the Future were filmed today? Do you want to feel old? If Back to the Future was filmed today, Marty would go back to 1994. What? 1994. He would go back. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I am looking here in the comments. I want to make sure you guys can see me. And I want to look at some deals. All right. It shows me as live. There it shows me as live. Let's go over here. Let's look in my Simple Land Flips Facebook group. All right. New pinned chat. Good. I got a bunch of you on me watching right now on YouTube and Facebook. So let's look at some deals. I want to see what you've got going on. Just say, type something in the chat. This isn't the way I normally do these kinds of calls, but I'd like to know. Let's look at a deal. Maybe just pull one up on Zillow, on Redfin, the deal that you're looking at, and I'll tell you what I would offer on it. Let's look at some comps, whether it's a house or a vacant lot. And maybe we'll even call the seller, call a realtor. Let me move this over here. Kind of move it sideways so I can see what you see. Got a bunch of you watching right now on Facebooks and on the YouTubes. And one thing we could do is we could just go to a website. While let's do this. Oh, hey, Rick. Good. I got somebody's chatting here with me. Let's do this. I'm going to show my screen here, and I'm just gonna let's pick a state, let's pick a county, let's pick some zip codes in that county, and let's make an offer on a couple deals just from the MLS, shall we? I want to share my screen here. Ah, good. Never mind. David is in the house, and he just gave me an APN number in Brunswick County. Let's look at that one. David, thank you so much. Hot diggity dog. All right, so I'm going to share my screen here. Make my screen a little bigger, smaller, whatever. Let's open up the chat. Hi, Sandro. Glad you're here. Okay, so this is an APN number. It's in Brunswick County. Let me show you where Brunswick County is and why I like Brunswick County. There we go. This is a county in North Carolina in the south eastern part of North Carolina. And if I just go look at solds in the last 3 months, this is one of the ways that I like to pick good counties. They have a lot of recent solds. So in the last 3 months, see, I'm in Redfin now. I'm looking at land. There's been 499 vacant lots that have sold in the last 3 months. That's a pretty good, healthy number, right? Another county that I've done deals in before in North Carolina is Wilkes County. So let's compare that to Wilkes County, North Carolina. There's 86. So 499 versus 86. Now you can do deals in Wilkes County. I've done a lot of them, but I like to follow the demand. I want to follow the money. So Brunswick County is a great county. Now this property is APN number something here. So when I just have what landglide.com is one of the tools I like to use. And if you just type in an APN number, it pulls up the property. Boom, just like that. Okay. And this is a vacant lot owned by Charlie Marlowe. 1.77 acres. They live in South Carolina. And sometimes you get information on here, like here's the last sale date, 1998. We don't know how much. It was 1998. And cool, let's make an offer. Now, what's interesting about this property, and I'm glad this is a good example. I don't know the address of this property. Don't know the address because there's nothing there. But I also have the GPS coordinates. So I'm going to copy those GPS coordinates. And let me copy. I'm going to paste those GPS coordinates here in Google. And that takes me right to the property, doesn't it? Let's zoom in. Yep, see that vacant lot right there? Let's look at the satellite. This is North Carolina, but it is closer to the coast. There's not very many mountains there. If it was in the more of the hilly area, you'd want to make sure that you look. Wait, I lost my coordinates there. There we go. You want to make sure it's not too mountainy and the slope isn't too crazy, right? So I like to look at 3D, kind of zoom in a little bit, and let's just drag it around, and you can kind of see, oh, this is pretty flat, right? But this is important when you're in the areas that are more mountainous. You want to make sure that the lot is buildable. Okay. So I also want to look to see if it's in a floodplain or flood zone or not. And there's a lot of different resources you can use for that. My favorite is id.land or MapRight or Land ID, whatever it's called these days. So I'm just going to show you real quick how I like to do this in MapRight or Land ID. And you see we have these GPS coordinates right there. So I'm going to copy those GPS coordinates and I'm going to search by latitude, longitude. I'll paste the first one there. Paste the second one there and click go. And it brings me right to that property. Just kind of zoom in. All right, there's the property from MapRight. Now what I like to do then is I like to go here to the base map. No, rather overlays. All right. And let's look at FEMA floodplain. All right, nothing happened. That's good. And then I'm going to also click wetlands. Oh, look at that. Okay, this isn't a deal killer, but for some reason, if I zoom out and zoom in, something's going on with this property. Why, I don't know, but most of it is classified as a wetland. So this is something I'm definitely going to talk to the seller about and ask them, find out what's going on. Like this property also is. Not saying it's a deal killer. What I'm trying to do is look around. Are there other properties that are built in these areas? Because maybe it's normal for the area, maybe it's not a big deal. I'm just kind of zooming out here, right? Do you see any other vacant lots that are built in that area? Is it because, this is a part of when you're this close to the coast, you're just going to get a lot of little pockets like this that are classified as wetlands because when there has been flooding there in the past or something, I don't know. So this is definitely a property. If I'm going to make an offer on it, I am not going to buy it until I know I've sold it to somebody else. Because somebody else in the area, maybe this guy Festus wants to buy it. Maybe this guy Benjamin King wants to buy it, right? Maybe some of these neighbors are interested in it. But I'm going to make an offer, and then my offer is contingent on a satisfactory due diligence. And I might decide, well, you know what? Anybody that's looked at it, they have said, no, not interested. I've talked to some local realtors and they looked at it and said, no, 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 no. You don't understand. This is like in an area that every spring when it rains or when the water gets high, it floods. So I'm not going to buy it unless I know I have a buyer to sell it to. And I'm going to disclose this. So if and when I market the property, I'm going to disclose it as a potential wetlands. The buyer needs to double check or confirm. You see what I'm saying? It's the wetlands is freshwater forested shrub wetland. I don't know what that means. Okay, so sorry for my stuffy nose. But we need to make an offer on this property. And it doesn't have an address. It just has the city state zip. So I like to look at my properties on Redfin. How do I do that? Well, it's fine. It's simple. I'm just going to click on one of the properties that has an address, that has a house on it. And there you go. I have an address of that property. So I'm going to copy that address and I'm going to put it in Redfin. All right. Just going to paste that address in Redfin right there. Pull it up. This is the property. By the way, back here to Google Maps. Let's drag the yellow dude around to see what's going on with the street views. Oh, we got a street view right here. So let's plop them there. Let's look this over. If I go to the right, this is the property right here. Pretty heavily wooded. There are some utilities. There's power poles. Let's go this way some more. So my property is over here on the left, right here, right? Tells you what kind of neighborhood it's in. You see the homes. So my offer is definitely going to be more conservative on my price. I always start with, okay, what do I think I could sell it for? This is a property right here. There's a house right nearby, so maybe it's just not a big deal. I don't know. But I'm always thinking, okay, what can I sell this for? And then I subtract all my costs from that. And that's how I come up with my offer. So when I'm factoring in the price that I'm going to sell this property for, I'm going to be a lot more conservative. So I need an address, right? The other way, I showed you how to do this in Land ID, but you could also do this in Google Maps. I could right click on this house that's right there and click what's here and see it just gave me an address right there. And I can copy that address. I'm going to put it in Redfin. It takes me to this house. I don't care about this house necessarily, but I'm going to click on this map right here. It opens up a pop-up. I'm going to click nearby homes for sale. All right. So it put me in the center. If I click the satellite view and I zoom in, all right, there's that house right there. My property that I'm looking at is right there. That's my property. So I want that to be in the center of my map. Then I'm just going to start zooming out and I'm going to start looking for other vacant lots that have been actively listed for sale or have sold recently. So I'm going to click on for sale and click on these three options: coming soon, active, and under contract or pending. I'm going to do home type land. Cool. And now I'm going to do other filters. Remember, my property is 1.77 acres. I want to do lot size. Let's do half acre to 3 acres. It says no results, but it says 14 homes up here. I don't know why Redfin does that, but we need to zoom out. So I'm actually going to switch to satellite so it's a little more clear. I'm going to start zooming out to get more comps. We still have 0. I'm going to zoom out again. 1. Let's zoom out again. Now I have 8. I'm going to zoom out one more time. Now I have 27, and I'm going to sort this by low to high. So even though this is a half acre, I'm still looking at it. This is an interesting area because it's kind of city. It's small town. It's not rural recreational. This is a lot that somebody might go and build there's probably no restrictions, very little restrictions. It's probably not in an HOA. But this is what my competition is. These little half acre lots, pretty much everything is under an acre. Here's 1.37 acres, similar property, real close. In fact, look how close this one is. My property is in the center of this map, right? If I zoom out, this property is right there. This is my closest comp, the 74,900. It's 1.37 acres. It's for sale. It's been on the market for 153 days. It does have an HOA fee of 24 a month. That's interesting. Okay. Let's look at sale tax history. So it's been listed since August 7th. All right, I'm just gathering intel right now. Okay. Let's zoom out again. These are all of my comps. I got 27. Let's change to solds in the last year. Okay, this is good. When I'm zoomed out, there's a lot of solds. I like that. There's 51 of them. So what I want to do here in a minute is I want to get the average price per acre of all of the solds in here to kind of give me a good idea, a good feel for what I should offer. So I'm going to open up my spreadsheet. And I have this, if you're in Simple Land, if you have my course or simplelandkit.com, you have my offer spreadsheet here. And if I go to the second tab, again, simplelandkit.com if you want this. I'm going to make my screen a little bigger here because I bet you it could be more visible if I make it wider. All right, so I'm going to bring this guy over here. So I'm just looking at these two tabs. I'm going to go in and let's look at active for sales and under contract pendings. And I've got these sorted from low to high, and I'm just going to use the Pebble Scraper tool. If you go to the Google Chrome store, do a search for Pebble. This is or you go to pebblerei.com. This is a free scraper tool, and what it does is it scrapes everything on the right-hand side, and it gives me the average or median price per acre of everything. Okay. Now I am going to exclude anything over 100 grand because I just don't, that's irrelevant. Anything over 100 grand, I'm going to do max. So it eliminates that. Now we have 19 comps. All right. So I'm going to do the Pebble Scraper too. And I don't know if you can see this, but it's a little pop-up right here. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just add maybe the lowest 10, or I'll just look at it and bring them all over. I'm just trying to remove any outliers. And it all looks pretty good. So I'm going to bring them all over. I click Save All, and it brings them all over. And you can see now the median price per acre is 94,500, or the average price per acre is 98,294. I just use whatever the lowest one is. So I'm going to copy 94,500 an acre and put it right here in my actives. Okay. Our property is 1.77 acres. So that gives me an average, a comp value approximately based on active comps of $167,000. And I usually discount the active comps by 15%. So I'm at about 142,175 for this 1.77 acre property based on active comps, based on the average price per acre. Makes sense? So going back to Redfin here, I'm going to switch to solds in the last year because I want all the cheapest ones I can get. Now I'm sorting again from low to high, and you can see that's all over the place, but these are going to be a lot less. I can tell already just by looking at it. But I'm encouraged because there's a lot of actives. This tells me it's an area in high demand. So I'm going to use that Pebble Scraper tool again. I'm going to clear all the previous ones. And I'm going to I'm just looking at all of these, and I'm going to remove any outliers before I bring them all over. Actually, let's just bring them all over. I'm going to scroll down into the saved properties area. There's 40 of them here. I'm just going to remove any of the big expensive outliers because that kind of skews my averages and my medians, right? All right, here's a couple over 100,000 an acre. Let's just remove those. All right, so now here we go. I'm scrolling on this page. Hopefully you can see this. I have a median price per acre of 67,194 and an average price per acre of 65,549. I'm going to take the lower of the two. So my average price per acre based on solds in that area in the last year is 65,549. So I'm going to copy that number and put it here in my spreadsheet. Okay, so based on solds at 65,000 an acre, this property maybe is worth about $116,022. That's about what I can list it for. However, let's look at this now, right? Let's go back here and look at actives. I want to know, what is my competition? Can I really list it for 116,000? This is where, like, if you're using priced and priced gives you an estimated value, you have to take this kind of stuff with a grain of salt. You need to look at what our active listings in the area for listing for. And if I scroll down, these are all half acre, half acre, half acre, half acre. Remember that one I was looking at before? Boom, right here. This property is currently 1.37 acres. Now mine is 0.4 acres bigger, but why would somebody want to pay 116,000 for my property when they can buy this one for 75,000 and it's real close to each other? Well, I don't know. I don't feel all that great about it. Now, maybe this is a property next to a highway, so that you have to discount it a little bit. Let's take a look at it. Let's go to all the photos. Well, this is where it's more of an art than a science. You just kind of really need to look at this and think, shoot, why would somebody want to pay 120 something for mine when they could buy all of these for much cheaper? Here's a 1.35 acre vacant lot that's pending for 90,000. That's good. 1.18 pending for 79.9. I know these are on the other side of the highway, but I always want to be conservative with what I'm going to be selling my property for, especially since it's in a wetland, right? So I'm just thinking as I'm looking at this, and we could even go through this filter thing and say, all right, only show me the properties that are at least 1 acre. And we could even go up to 4 acres. So these are actives and pendings, right? I want to sell mine quickly, aggressively. I want mine to be like, oh my gosh, that looks like a good deal. I can buy this one. I can buy Joe's for 65,000 at 1.8 acres, or I can buy this one for 75,000 that's smaller, 1.4 acres. I want to price mine aggressively to sell fast. So I'm thinking I'm going to sell mine for 65,000. So this is how I come up with my offers. I'm going to set the list price at 65 grand. Okay, David's telling me, boom, here we go. I calculated that I could sell it for 66,270. All right, so I'm going to sell it. We're right on the same page, David. I was figuring I could sell it for 65,000. I want to make at least a $10,000 wholesale fee. I'm going to pay a realtor, let's do 8%. 8% to sell the property for me. If you're going to borrow private money or not, you put that in there. Let's do a 3% oops factor. Let's do $500 for photos. You can go into county records to see if there's any back taxes owed or not. And let's figure, this is North Carolina, so you have to use attorneys. Let's figure $2 grand for closing costs. And here I come up with an offer of 45,350. So all I'm doing is, by the way, those of you that have my spreadsheet for a long time, I found out that the oops factor was not being subtracted in my formula here. So oops, just make sure when you're looking at your formula here, it's subtracting all these numbers. But this is all we're doing. We're taking the list price minus all these numbers here. That comes up with our offer. But general rule of thumb, we don't want to offer more than 50% on vacant land. So I'm going to offer 32,500. That's my max offer, 32,500. And David said 37,200. So we're real close, David. Yep. I would offer 32,500 bucks. David says 37,200. I feel good about that. I like it. Now you see how this, as I'm going through this, sorry, this is not a science. It's not a formula. It's harder in some ways than houses, because houses, you have a lot more comps. With vacant land, you just don't have as many, right? Any questions about that? Cool. And Tony, you've given me a property here. We'll look at that in a minute. And Sandro's given me a property. Let's look at that next. Bam. Nice. Oh, David's got another property for me. I love this. Glad you guys are here. Um, that's what I would offer on this property. If you have any questions about that, please type it in the Zoom or in the Zoom chat or the Facebook chat or the YouTube chat right now. Okay. I'll do my best to look for it and find it. Tony gave us a property here, also in North Carolina, 379. Let's see where this is. I'm going to copy this. Let's put it here in the Google Maps. Oh, it looks like vacant land to me, doesn't it? How many acres is this, Tony? Tony's coming at us from the YouTubes. Let's just zoom out and see where it is. Oh, this is also Brunswick County, I'm guessing. Let's see if let's drag the yellow dude around to see if there's any, nope. But sometimes you see these pictures. It's kind of weird. See that blue dot right there? It's a photosphere. You can drag your yellow dude there into the photosphere, and somebody took this 3D 360 picture of something pumpkin festival. Anyway, let's drag the yellow dude around. Just okay. So we have some street view images from here. I just want to see what the area is like. All right, pretty fascinating. I need to pull up this property on Redfin, and I do have an address. Let's copy that address and let's look at Land Glide real quick. All right, so sometimes you have to, okay, let me show you what I just did there. I put that whole address, Southport, North, and it didn't like it. Land Glide said, no, I don't see it. But the zip code is 28461, right? So let me just kind of start from the street address, and now something popped up here. You see that? So when I click on that, it takes me there. No, 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 no. That's something different, isn't it? No, that's it. That's the same area, right? See this body of water right there? See that body of water right there? Okay, so good. Land Glide just helped me find it. And it's this is the lot right here. And it is how many acres? 10 acres. 10 acres. Okay, somebody on the Facebooks who I don't know who it is. All it tells me is that you're a Facebook user and I owe you a glass of iced tea. Remember, okay, sorry, I'm getting off track here, but this is important because I don't know who this is who posted this, but this is really, really important. And I'm going to stop my screen share for a minute so you understand what I'm talking about here. The other day when I did a coaching call, we were talking about getting the sellers to sign like a power of attorney or an authorization to list information to list your property. It's an extra document that goes with the contract. And I had made the comment, I bet you a glass of iced tea that doesn't matter, I think, or the seller is not going to complain about it if they have to sign it. So I owe this Facebook user a glass of iced tea because they came back and said, the seller did say, I thought you were going to buy it, but now you're telling me you're going to list it. All right. So if I said that, I'll send you some money for a glass of iced tea. But here's what you do. When a seller says, hey, I thought you were going to buy it, this is true for houses or for vacant land, whatever. If the seller says, I thought you were going to buy it, now you're telling me you want me to sign this so you can list it. This is what you say. Listen, I just don't know what I'm going to be doing with this property yet. I'm an investor and I buy property for long-term investment purposes. So I'm going to probably add this or advertise this property for owner financing. I'm going to sell it with owner financing. And so that's why I want to list it on the MLS so I can put it out there to the most buyers. Now, if that's a problem with you, Mr. Seller, that's fine. Maybe this isn't going to work out for us then. So I'd be willing to take my offer away. I pull away. All right. And if it's a problem to the seller, you need to find that out now, right? It's better to find that out now than rather than later. So you ask them, tell me what is the real concern here? What's the problem? That's all. I hope that helps. And if some of you have like other things, other ways that you handle that, then please type it in the comments. Where we are. Here we go. So we're making an offer on this property here. This is a 10-acre property. 10 acres. Now we have that address. Let's put it into Redfin here. Let's click on the map. That's it. Boom. I'm going to click on. Now, does it have road access? What do you think? That's a big deal, isn't it? I don't know. This is it is a concern. Let's look here, but there's a bunch of properties that don't have road access. At least from what we can tell, right? Let's look at satellite. Is this wetland? Don't know. I'm still going to make an offer on it. And again, sometimes you just don't know until you actually put the house on the market. And then the market will tell you, hey, this is not a good property. And I'm a little concerned about it because look here, the state of North Carolina owns all of these lots around it. And what does that mean? Does that mean it's maybe there's a lot of tax foreclosure deed sales where the state of Carolina, North Carolina, or the county has foreclosed on these properties? I don't know. Maybe they could be a buyer. What's the owner's address on these properties? I would send them a letter, see if they want to buy it. I don't know, but let's look at this property. This is it right here. Let's look at land ID. I'm going to search by address. Oh, look at that. I see lots of wetlands. Yeah, this might be a deal I just pass on. These properties are fine. Here's what's interesting, and I don't understand this because, like, how did these properties right here all of a sudden become not wetlands? And the state of North Carolina owns so much land in here. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Look at this. This doesn't make any sense. The state of North Carolina like owns all this land. You see all of these? You need to talk to the seller and find out what's going on and why. When did they buy it? How long ago did they buy it? I'm trying to see if you can find out here on the county records when they bought it. I don't see it. I would try to find out why they bought it. When did they buy it? What have they done in the past to try to sell it? Sometimes on these kinds of properties, I don't know what's going on here. Most of it is wetland. State of North Carolina owns a lot of the land around here. What's the story? And I would probably do an option contract. Just a 6-month option that says basically I might buy it. Maybe. but I don't know. You know what I mean? Just a regular, simple, straight up option agreement. And what kind of offer would I make? Geez, I don't know. Let's just look at this. This is the property right here, nearby homes for sale. Let's zoom out. I'm looking at for sale, under contract, pending, home type, land. Tony says, I actually have another one that is interested in the same area. So do you have a buyer, Tony, that's interested looking for properties in this area? Now, these are the lots. This is interesting. These are the lots. Our property's right here in the center. Remember that area we looked at up here? Oh, yeah. Okay. But going backwards again a little bit, I'm asking why all of a sudden, if this is all wetland area, why is this little swath right here all of a sudden not wetland area? What did they do? Did they just reclassify this as not wetlands, although it really is? Did they build a berm up around the whole area to like a levee or something to keep any potential flooding out of there? I don't know. Why does North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, own so much of this land? You need to find out, talk to some realtors who know the area. There's a lot of state of North Carolina land in here. I don't know, why is that? Maybe the state will buy this property. I don't know. But look, this one, these two have been for sale for 20 grand. They're little 0.37 acres. Let's see if we can get any information. These have been on the market for 201 days. The owner is selling 4 parcels. It's in a sought after area, South Shore. I don't know. All right, let's look to see what else is out here. If I start zooming out, here's a property for 60 grand. All right, this property is 20 acres. They're asking 60. 20 acres of land close to Boiling Springs Lakes, accessed via 8th or 9th Road. No soil evaluation or wetland suitability testing has been completed. So you're going to have to put that in your listing if you get it under contract. Located in green zone for red cockaded woodpeckers, ex-flood zone, and Poccasin wetlands. Plans to build will need to be approved by the Army Corps of Engineers. Close to lake, which is being revitalized. All right. Well, that's this. If you see in these photos here, this is what it looks like. It looks dry. But our property is right over here, and this one is right there. And usually when you see, by the way, land looks like this, it's kind of cleared out. It's from flooding. But maybe there would be somebody that would buy it. I don't know. See, you just don't know. And they say there's a saying in land, there's a pig for every barn. But if you're looking at this thinking, I want to make sure mine's the cheapest. So 20 acres for 60 grand. For 10 acres, it's 30 grand. I would list my 10 acres for maybe 25 grand. That might be how I would price this property. Just looking at this one real quick. Let's zoom out one more time. There's just not a lot of current activity. Let's sort this from low to high. There are some pendings here. That's interesting. But they're super cheap pendings and they're small properties. Let's look at solds. Solds in the last year. All right, this one sold for 18 grand. 10 acres. Ah, here we go. And this one sold 10 acres for 24 grand. Now, what happened to these properties? I'd be curious to know. You'd have to do a little research and figure out what happened to these. Did they resell? This is like right next to it. Let's see if there's any description. Or let's read the description. Enough land for your estate. BSL has everything you could want. Swimming lakes, golf course, no HOAs. Seller has never had a septic evaluation or any delineation as is and may not be buildable at this time. So you have to disclose this stuff. Buyer to investigate and be responsible for any and all costs. Property is currently inaccessible due to road not being cut through. The seller was willing to do owner financing. Okay, so that's going to be have to be probably real similar to what you sell yours for. This is the one closer by. Trent Road is currently not accessible. City does not maintain the road to the property and has not been cleared through. Parcel dimensions are from Brunswick GIS, sold as is. Unknown if property is in the flood zone. Seller will not clear land for septic test. Buyer's agent responsible to obtain any costs associated with building or permits, septic systems, wetlands, etc. So these are all, look, you got to look at these other solds and look at their descriptions and add this kind of stuff into your listing, right? But here's what's encouraging. Somebody bought these two lots for 18 grand and 24 grand. So what if you contacted, and this one as well. Let's look at the description on this one. This was 16 acres. They did consider seller financing. Okay, so these are I really pretty much only have 3 comps. If I go to filters and say, all right, show me everything that's at least minimum 5 acres. Let me zoom out one more time. No. So these are my 3 solds. I would first call these realtors up and see if their client is interested in buying another one. So if I open this, you can see the listing agent right here, Kim Anderson, Art Skipper Realty, Google her or him. This realtor, Kendrick Gaddy, Intercoastal Realty, call them. And so here's, I'm looking at this just thinking, I don't have to put any formula in here. I would want to sell mine for, let's do 17 grand. I would sell it for 17,000. 10 acres for 17 grand. So I'm going to put that number right here. 17 grand. I want to make at least 10 grand. I'd pay a realtor 10% commissions. Let's do 5% oops factor. You know, boom. I would offer maybe. Now let's see. 1,950 or 2 grand is only 12%. Well, if we say, okay, maybe maybe we're okay with a $7,500 wholesale fee. This is what I would do. So I'm going to make a $7,500 wholesale fee. I would offer $4,500 to the seller. That would be my offer. I'm looking at Tony's comments here. There is an easement. The state has a conservation on the adjacent property. Then Tony says there's 2 sellers. I'm not sure I understand that. So I would offer 4,500 on that deal. And the first thing I would do is call these agents who sold these other properties and ask them if they're interested in 10% commissions. Ask them if one of their buyers would be interested in a property nearby. Tell them you'll pay 2 grand commission. And I would do that immediately. Get it under contract, make an offer for 4,500 bucks. Call these other agents. The other thing I would do is I would send a letter to the owner, whoever bought these properties, look up in county records who bought them. I would also send letters to all the people. If I do no minimum, look at all these less sold in the last year. Let's do last 6 months. I would also send a letter to all of these people who have bought all this vacant land here. There's a lot of them, right? I would send them a handwritten, crumpled up yellow letter that I talk about all the time to all the people that bought these properties and see if they're interested in buying yours over here. They're buying these little 1/4 acre lots for 6,200. Do you think they might be interested in at least looking at a 10 acre lot for 17,500? And you'll know within a couple weeks after calling those realtors, sending letters or skip tracing and calling all these people who bought this property, you'll know within a couple days, couple weeks, whether your property is even sellable or not. And somebody will tell you the inside scoop of what's going on. What is this conservation that the state is trying to do? Is it state trying to buy all these properties? Okay, so let's look then over here at another property. This is from David. He's got this property under contract already. It's in Shenandoah County, Virginia, 1.61 acres. Okay, David, you got some good numbers here, but you wrote down here on this property, you gave me all of the information, which is awesome. I love it. You say here your desired profit is only $2,500. That is not acceptable. No, Your minimum profit on these deals, I like to do minimum profit of 10 grand. Okay, but minimum is 5. Like you doing all that work, taking all that risk for this property for you to only make $2,500, you need to erase that number. I don't care if you're wholesaling it, David. $2,500, maybe it's a typo. Maybe you meant to write in $25,000. I don't know, but $2,500, that's a pass. It's okay. Yeah, I get it. It's better than a punch in the gut, right? It's better than a poke in the eye with a stick. $2,500 will pay a lot of bills. I get it. You can go on a nice dinner with your wife for $2,500, but your minimum should be 5 grand. You should shoot for 10 grand on wholesale deals. I like your numbers here. You're looking, our previous example we were looking at, you and I are both on the same page. Does that make sense, David? So if you don't have closing costs or you don't do photos, would that go to, that would go to you? Yeah, but why wouldn't you want to do closing costs? You always want to close with a title company on these deals. And when you're advertising it, you should always get photos, drone pictures, drone photography. Your properties are going to sell faster and higher price when you do better pictures, just like staging a house does. So, yeah, if you're going to sell this thing, you're saying you're going to sell it for 17,575. All right, let's look at my spreadsheet here. You're going to sell it for 17,575. Your minimum wholesale fee should be 5 grand. You're going to pay a realtor 10%. You have an oops factor of 5%, photos 500, closing costs 2,000. You should offer 7,400. I would say, try to get $7,500 profit on this deal. So you offer 5 grand. Does that make sense, David? Are we on the same page there? So David says, I'm going to call realtors and have them find me a buyer without me buying it. That's fine. That's good. You should do that. So whenever you get a deal under contract, you should always, first thing, look up all of the recent solds on Redfin or homes.com and call all of those agents. Why I like homes.com, because homes.com gives you their phone number and their emails. Call them all and say, hey, I just got this property under contract near one that you have sold. I'm an investor. I live in Missouri. And I want to know if you might have a buyer who would be interested in this property. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I see that you sold this one for 17 grand or 17 grand thousand an acre. I'm trying to sell mine for 16,000 and I pay 10% commission. So if you can, do you have any buyers that you could maybe call or text and see if they'd be interested in this property? I'll give you a quick and easy $2,000 in commissions for just a phone call and a text. So a realtor, if they see that it's a good deal and they know some buyers are looking for land, they're going to jump all over that. And otherwise, the realtor might also give you, well, have you been to the area? Have you seen it? Do you know what's going on there? It's complete wetlands. It's a mess. It's a disaster. You don't want to do anything there. You'll get some good intel on that property in that area, right? The second thing you do after you contact all those realtors is you want to go and find out, all right, who are all the other properties that sold? And you want to find the owners who bought those properties in the last year in that area. And you want to go look in county records. You want to go to PropStream or something and find out who they are, skip trace them and call them, send them a crumpled up handwritten yellow letter. Hey, I got this property I want to sell. Would you be interested? After you call the realtors, after you contact those other buyers who are already buying properties in the area, you'll find out if you have a good deal or not. And when it's like, oh man, I don't know what's going on here, it's wetlands or not, you have 3 months to do this kinds of due diligence. Jakai, go ahead and give me as much information about that property in Polk County, Florida. All right, somebody else has got a deal. Sandro. I have an APN number, a really long one. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find this one. I'll try here. Sandro, try to give me more information if you can, huh? Let's go to Landglide. I have a really long parcel ID and see nothing comes up. I was afraid that was going to happen. Sometimes it's because, there's formatting errors, issues, and you need to kind of go through and remove the dashes. Oh, look, I got it. This is a property in Okeechobee, I think. That's how you pronounce it, Florida. And there it is. It's this property right here. What's the size of it? 2.42 acres. Let's zoom out a little bit and see where it is. Okay, this is a great area. How do I know it's a good area? I'll show you. Now, what do you think? Do you think there's going to be wetlands, floodplain issues here? Yeah, not a big deal. This is an area of Florida where there's a lot of sales. And look, there's things building, there's homes and area and things like that built in the area. So if I click on this, do I have an address? Yes, I do right there. All right, so let's copy that. And the city is North Okeechobee, I think. Let's copy that. So let's go to Google Maps. And North Okeechobee, Florida. Here you go. So now I have an address for this property right here, right? I'm going to copy that address. Let's zoom out a little bit. And let's drag the yellow dude around. All right, I got something up there. Let's drag it right there. This is what the area looks like. In fact, let me just zoom back in again. It's near a state preserve park. That's cool. Florida hunting and fishing outdoor adventures. So there's some outdoor activity. That's awesome. It's a good area. All right, so now I'm going to zoom out a little bit and drag the yellow dude around. There we go. So now I have, this is a street view. You can see the road is dirt road. This is what it looks like. Apparently there's a lot of hunting going on. This is a picture taken from December 2007. Okay, so this has an address, even though it's out in the middle of nowhere. If I look at satellite, again, not much there, right? Oh, where'd it go? There it is. Let's copy that address. Let's look it up on Land ID. I'm going to type the address right there. Lots of floodplains, but this is going to be more recreational land. See all the floodplains and wetlands and um, This 3 acres. Last sold in 1985 for 10 grand. 3 acres. Okay, excuse me. Sorry for my stuffy nose. Wetlands, floodplains, all that good stuff. But there's a lot of activity here. Let's look at Redfin. I'm going to pull that address up. A lot of activity. Let's zoom in. Yeah, the property's right there, right? Okay, so I'm going to look at for sale. Make sure you check all 3 of those things. Coming soon, active, under contract, pending. Home type, let's look at land only. And I'm going to do minimum, because ours is 3 acres, right? I'm going to do minimum 1 acre. And so just in this little area, there's a lot of active listings, right? And I'm sorting by low to high. All I'm thinking about here is when I list my property, I want it to be the most attractive, cheapest property in the area. So just not even zooming that far out, there's 19 property listings. Let's zoom out. You can kind of see. We're going to look at price per acre here in a minute. All right. Let's look at solds. Last 3 months, a little bit. Last 6 months, no, that's good. Last year, all right. 23 properties have sold there in the last year. Let me zoom out to get a little more. Oh, there's a lot of them. Look at that. So I want as many comps as I can. And because I'm sorting this low to high, all the cheapest comps are at the top, which helps me as I'm figuring out my offer. What am I going to sell my property for, right? So now I'm going to do that pebble scraper tool. I'm just going to bring them all over. And I'm looking at this as I'm going down to remove any kind of outliers, real cheap ones, real high ones. Okay. So the median price per acre, average price per acre, the lowest of the two. So 12,033 is the average price per acre. I'm going to put that into my spreadsheet here on the solds, right? And our property is 3 acres. So based on solds in the last year, using that pebble scraper tool again, we're looking at 12,033 an acre. Now I'm going to switch back to actives, under contract, and pending, sorting from low to high. All right. I'm going to do the pebble scraper tool, clear my previous, bring them all down. So now I'm looking at $21,800 an acre, 21,800. I'm going to put that up here. So based on actives, and I take 15% off, it's worth about 55,000. So based on solds, it's worth about 36. Based on actives, it's worth 55. All right, so I'm just thinking I might list it for 36. What is my competition like? If I list mine for 36, is that going to be of any interest? Well, 1.5 acres, 16 times 2, it's 32. I don't know. All right, this is when I might do something else here. So I'm going to clear all of this. I'm looking at actives. I want to look at just the 10 cheapest properties. So I'm going to just bring down the lowest 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now I'm looking at 16,218 an acre, which is higher than what I was looking at before. All right. So this is one of those like, well, what do I do? What do I do? Ours is 3 acres, remember? So I want to sell it. This is 1.5 acres for 16,000. I want to sell mine 3 acres for less than 32,000. I want to list mine for 29,500. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to list it for 29,500. I want to make at least a $10,000 wholesale fee. I'll pay a realtor 10% commissions. I have a 5% oops factor. This is Florida. I can get closing costs a lot cheaper. So I'm going to offer 13,575. I'll offer 13,575, which is about 46% of what I can list it for. And if I pay a realtor 10% to sell it, and I think I'll be able to sell it pretty quick, I'll make 10 grand on this deal. What is this price per acre? Equals this divided by 3. All right, do you see what I'm doing here? I'm listing it for 9,800 an acre when the average solds are 12,000 an acre. I want to price it aggressively. Does that make sense, guys? Does that make sense? Okay, cool. We need to wrap this up. Let me see if there's any other questions that you guys typed in the Zoom chat. Okay, Jackie K. I wish I pronounced your name right. I'm sorry. She gave me an address here. Let me copy it and see what we come up with. This is a property right next to a highway. What is this? The address you gave me there, it's taking me right here. So I'm not sure I have the right address. Jackie, I'm sorry. 0 Mulberry Street. Yeah, that takes me right to this highway intersection. Give me some GPS coordinates or something instead. And maybe we'll pull that up real quick. All right, to the other comments on the YouTubes. From Dong Hoon Park. I'm sending out my first 5,000 blind offer mailers. If I find a deal but don't have the funds to take it down myself, do you ever put up the money and JV on a deal? Yeah, I do JV on deals, but they only with my students. So if you are a student, you have my course, I will partner with you on it. The reason why is, again, like I want you to have some education in the way I do deals and what I'm looking for in deals. And if you've been a student of mine and you have my programs, right, you're going to know what is a good deal and what's not. And I'm not going to be wasting a bunch of time trying to tell you, no, that's not a good deal. Yeah. So as long as you're a student of mine, there's a place in the membership site where you can submit deals for me to look at. Juki. That's how you pronounce your name. Oh, come on, David's giving me another property here. I only have time for one more, and I'm going to look at Juki's in just a second. Facebook user, thanks for answering my questions on a separate call. You asked me how many offers I have made recently, and I make anywhere from 50 to 200 offers a week. That's awesome. Are those blind offers, or are those offers that you're making in response to somebody that you've talked to? Because there's a difference. Dong Hoon is doing something awesome. He's making 5,000 offers, but those are blind offers. They're just sending them out without talking to anybody. That's good. That's better than nothing. But for my course, for the business completion challenge, I want you to make written offers to people that you talk to, because you're just way more likely to get those accepted. If you talk to the seller first, build a little rapport, then send them offers. Joe, for those of us who are just starting out, do you recommend that new wholesalers focus on land deals or lease option homes? I'm located in Southern California, but I'm willing to do deals anywhere. Listen, I love land deals. I think land deals are way simpler and easier than houses, whether you're doing cash or lease options. So, yeah. Andrew is asking, hey, where can we get the spreadsheet? Go to simplelandkit.com. When you go to simplelandkit.com, you're going to get to a page that looks like this, simplelandkit.com. And right now it's free. If you've seen some of my ads, we're charging $5 for it. So if it's not free when you're watching this, it's $5. I'm sorry, but you get my land watch hack, you get my direct mail swipe file, you get my land wholesale contract, my option contract, my motivated land seller script, my land due diligence checklist, my land agent helper, my land profit calculator. There you are. And on here, I have a software and a spreadsheet that helps you calculate your offers. And it's free. You will get an invitation to watch my webinar where I teach you how to use all this stuff and to make an offer to you to get my course, my program. But go to simplelandkit.com and you can check that out. Okay, so Juki gave me a parcel ID. Let me try to real quick copy this parcel ID. See if I can find it in LandGlide. No. Let me share my screen so you guys can see what I'm doing here. So I pasted that APN number in LandGlide. Let me just remove the dashes to see if that helps. Ah, there we go. All right, so this is a vacant lot right next to some older homes. These are always a little trickier because these aren't in a small town like this. You can't use this land for recreation. Somebody's who buys it probably not going to just build a new home on it. It's in a rough area, it looks like. Do I have an address? Nope, no address. Let's get the address of this property right next to it. How about that? 104 Mulberry in Lake Wales, Florida. So let's look it up on Google Maps. All right, let's zoom in. So the lot we're looking at, and see there's a burnt down house right here. I don't know. I might, just looking at this, I might offer $500. It's in an industrial area, real close to a highway. There's a crazy fishing bar and grill, a gas station, burnt down house. Let's drag the yellow dude around here and just kind of see what this area looks like. See, nobody's going to be buying this and building a new home down this street. But, maybe you could sell it for a few $1,000, $5,000. Let's see if there's any comps. All right, so the address, we have an address of the property right next door, right? Let's copy that address. Let's put it in Redfin. How many acres is this property? 0.12 acres. 0.12 acres. Nearby homes for sale. So our property is right in the center, right? Let's zoom in. Our property is right there, okay? I'm going to zoom out. Let's do for sale. Click all three. Home type, land. Done. Here's the 1.5 million. That's not going to work, but let's do a maximum price of maybe 100 grand on here. Let's zoom out. What do we have? And let's do all filters. Let's do lot size maximum 1 acre. Well, let's do maximum half acre. Zoom out, nothing. Zoom out. All right, something way up there. Sort sort from low to high. See, in these small towns, this is where it's like, man, who's going to buy this thing here? 21 grand? It's been for sale on the market for 102 days. No HOA. There is a water view, maybe. This one's for sale for 26.5. 61 days. This looks like a nicer street, a nicer neighborhood. Let's zoom out one more time. So there's not very many comps here. All right. This one I'm going to exclude. Let's just say maximum price 50. That just removes those really expensive comps. Let's look at solds in the last 3 months. Try it again. Solds last 3 months. All right, 9 grand, 10 grand. Let's go solds last year. Let's zoom in. So this one sold for 5 grand up here, 10. So even though these are in square feet, let's see if the pebble scraper tool still works. Yeah, so it brought them over. You see 0.12, 15, 13 acres, 0.13 acres. All right, I'm going to bring over the cheapest ones here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking at this thing. This is not an area I'm excited about at all. So this is a similar size property that sold for 5 grand. I would probably offer $1,000, $2,000, and I would hope to be able to sell it for 10 grand. Does that help? Who was asking this? Juki. So the seller, Juki is saying the seller wants $12,000, but is negotiable. Yes, David, that calculator that I've been working with is in my land course. I'll show you right now. You go to, in the Google Drive resources folder, you're going to go to simple land flips. You're going to click on miscellaneous. And it's this one right here, land offers, potential cash flow and profit new. That's it. And then you click on the second tab, simple offer calc right there. Yeah. So, the seller wants 12 grand. I would say list it with an agent. If you want Mr. Seller, I would give you the names and phone numbers of all the realtors that have sold land here in this area in the last year. I'll give you their names and numbers. You can call them. Now, how do you get that, by the way? Well, these ones where the pictures are black, those are from county records, but the ones with pictures are from the MLS. And so what I would go here is um, I would get the realtors, John Weirtel, Agent Group Realty, and Jose Martinez. I would send the name and broker and phone number of these properties to that seller and say, listen, you should just list it on the MLS. But if you want a quick sale, cash, I'll buy it for 2 grand. That's what I would do. I mean, 12 grand, if you paid her 12 grand, you'd have to sell it for 20 grand, 22 grand to make it worth your while. And are you going to be able to sell it for 22 grand? Uh, you know, maybe you could do an option agreement. So it's like a less strong commitment to actually buy it. All right, you're welcome, Andrew. Yes, Shane is asking about the offer that I did last week for my course. Send an email, Shane, to support@joemccall.com. Okay, I'll type that in the chat. Support@joemccall.com. All right, any other questions real quick before we move on? I got to wrap this up. You're welcome. Thank you, guys. All right, guys, appreciate you all. This has been a good little call, and talk to you all soon.